When you visit Arizona, time is measured in moments, not minutes. Like the moment you see the Grand Canyon for the first time. Visit a new state of mind. Learn more at hereyouareaz.com.
Paranormal experiences don't really work to a timescale, and therefore we invite you to listen to a Dark Minisode. Hello everyone, and welcome to the final installment of our Dark Minisodes for Season 18. And fittingly, we are ending our Dark Minisodes for this season with a minisode sent in by the person who sent our debut episode for Season 18, and that's Bree. Someone who I pronounced as Bri throughout the first email, so my sincere apologies to Bree. But Bree has sent in a collection of shorter stories which are perfect for our Dark Minisode, and we will be cracking on with them shortly. Just a quick reminder, we are of course going to head into our finale on Friday, and then we will take our standard 3-week break, returning with our debut for Season 19 on Friday the 28th of February. Of course, for our Patreons, there will be no downtime, as they will receive an episode of Dark Bite every Sunday on the downtime between seasons. Not only that, they will receive that debut episode on the Wednesday before that Friday. So when you join our Patreon, as you know, you gain access to early ad-free content for everything on this main feed, and the opportunity to have access to the entire back catalogue of Dark Bites, over 100 hours of Patreon-only content and experiences. Not only that, but you will also get your name read out on the show, which from Season 19 onwards is moving back to the beginning of the show, and also you'll be the first people to have access to the video version of Dark Realms as we bring video to Dark Realms from Season 19 onwards. And as I say each time, that's all great, but it's nothing compared to the community you will join, which is a group of like-minded individuals who are the most accepting people on the planet. So if that sounds like something you'd like to be part of, head over to patreon.com/thedarkparanormal. But right now, let's jump back into Bree's second email and our final Dark Minisode for Season 18. Hi. First of all, I'm so honoured to have been your Season 18 premiere episode. Truly, I can say I was blown away when I heard my story coming out of your mouth. It was an awesome privilege, and I, for once, felt so heard. I wanted to note, though, that my name is pronounced like the cheese Brie, not Bri. Not a big deal at all, and I'm not bothered by it, but I figured if you shared anything else I sent, I should probably note how my name is pronounced. With that said, I did want to follow up with some things. My neighbours, the ones directly around to us, to our knowledge have not had any experiences. Most of the neighbours have lived near my parents for my whole life, and they're all pretty open with one another. Someone did just move in across from my parents with kids, and they're friendly with my parents. I'm sure if anything does happen, they would speak up to my mum. With that said, my best neighbourhood friend lived up the street from me. Her home didn't back up to the woods, but she lived about a block down the street. She wouldn't talk about scary things much, but I remember one night sleeping over at her home. She had a split-level house, and we were in the kitchen, and we heard someone downstairs humming. It was a woman humming as if she was humming along to a song. I asked my friend Megan if her sister was home, and she wasn't. We both kind of froze in her kitchen. I leant into her and in a whispered tone asked if things happen in this house like they did in my house. She said, sometimes, but not really. I must have felt unnerved that night and called out, "Hey, who's down there?" What we heard as a response sent us running to her room. A low, gurgling growl. So that was that, and that was the last we ever spoke of it. I lived in a neighbourhood that is full of smaller neighbourhoods, if that makes any sense. Hilltop is a neighbourhood filled with about 6 to 8 other neighbourhoods. It all started growing when my parents bought their home, and it expanded throughout the years. The other, older neighbourhood, across the main road from the one my parents lived in, was also built at the same time my parents was, and is just as old. I had many friends in that neighbourhood too, and there were always rumours at the bus stop about the paranormal happenings in a few houses in that neighbourhood. No one really went into much detail, but I do know that yes, some others did experience things, although I don't believe ever to the extent I did. My mum, upon listening to the debut episode, told me there was so much more that went on before I was born that she ever told me, just because she never wanted to scare me. But she said every night at 6:30 p.m, her mum would call. She would never say hello. She would just immediately say, "How are you?" Well, her mum passed away. Then one evening at 6:30, the phone rings. My mum answers, and a woman who sounds just like her mum says, "How are you?" My mum immediately hung up. She also said they'd experienced pictures flying off the walls numerous times. In the hall, in my room, in the basement. The people she's seen in the house has been more so when I come around, but she still continues to see people in her room. Shadow figures, full apparitions. And the radio in my parents' room has gone off on its own countless times in the middle of the night, even the day. Just odd things here and there. But the bulk of the crazy activity just went away when I went away. Yes, that kind of activity did exist before me, but not to the extent from episode 1. It's simmered down somewhat, and is just the little things here and there. If you can call seeing full-blown apparitions nightly little things. But what I wanted to share most with you, my friend from college has pushed me to share. Let's have a quick break to ask you a personal question. Are you feeling overwhelmed by hormonal changes? If you're a woman, you're definitely not alone. There are more than 1,000 hormone disruptors living rent-free in our environment right now. Our food, our water, the air we breathe, the clothes we wear, our skincare. You would not believe the amount of things that can mess with our hormones. Even nature likes to put us through hormonal changes, premenopause, menopause, and while it's a natural process, it doesn't mean you're meant to suffer through it. And the good news is you don't have to suffer through it anymore because we now have Hormone Harmony, a formula made with only herbal ingredients that are shown to reduce hormonal symptoms in women of all ages. Happy Mammoth, the company that created Hormone Harmony, is dedicated to making women's lives easier. And that means using only science-backed ingredients that have been proven to work for women. They make no compromise when it comes to quality, and it shows. Hormone Harmony is not just a hormone-supporting supplement, it's become a phenomenon. Women cannot stop talking about it on social media. A bottle of Hormone Harmony sells every 24 seconds. And the biggest benefit? Feeling like myself again. That's what women mention over and over in their over 30,000 plus reviews for Hormone Harmony. For a limited time, you can get 15% off your entire first order at happymammoth.com. Just use the code DARKParanormal at checkout. That's happymammoth.com and use the code DARKParanormal for 15% off today. She commented on your podcast episode on YouTube, attesting to living with me in Columbia, Missouri whilst we attended college and what we experienced together. She is also a horror enthusiast and won't mind me sharing her name, Ali. My good friend from college insisted I share this, and it is quite an experience on its own. So we met at college, and we decided in our junior year that we would live together. We found a place pretty far off campus, back into the countrysides of Colombia, a much less populated area. There was a neighbourhood of townhomes, all in which college kids lived. Super nice. We lived with 2 other girls, making 4 girls in total. Each of the 2 girls shared a Jack and Jill style bathroom, so our rooms were connected by a bathroom. Me and Ali shared a bathroom, and the other 2 girls were at the end of the house with their own bathroom. We all had our own rooms, and our rooms were upstairs, and on the main level was a kitchen, bathroom, garage, and a living area that was communal. But arguably the most important thing to note is it was directly across the street from a cemetery. How old? Well, kind of mixed. It seemed to hold both newer and older gravestones. The most notable grave I read said, "I told you I was sick." I have a picture of that tombstone somewhere. Anyways, this could be causal to what happened next. I'm not sure. Ali's not convinced the cemetery had anything to do with what we went through. The first 5 months we were there, we experienced absolutely nothing. Maybe the odd noise here and there, but nothing crazy. Then we started hearing noises half the year through. It started with a few bangs, like something fell upstairs in mine or Ali's room. We'd go and check, but nothing seemed out of place. We'd attribute it to the pipes or neighbours, basically anything. But then I recall the first time we heard the sound of someone running through the bathroom Ali and I shared. It sounded like someone was sprinting from my room into Ali's room, using that connected bathroom. The other 2 girls who we lived with were at the other end of the hall, so it could not have been them. We were all downstairs once, and the other 2 girls were not really into the paranormal. In fact, one was a complete disbeliever and would try and discredit everything. The other girl, I believe, was just terrified and just didn't want to even speak about it. But the noises continued. They didn't only continue, they got worse. It got to the point where it was disturbing our sleep. At one point, I even remember getting someone to check our attic because we'd convinced ourselves perhaps someone broke in whilst we were out and was living there. That seems silly in hindsight, but we were desperate for an answer. The other 2 girls ended up moving out, basically for other reasons they claimed, but because of what was going on. Staying at their boyfriends' and friends' places instead of where they lived. Ali and I, well, we didn't have that ability, and maybe we were more interested or hard-headed, but we certainly weren't going to be run off. However, the running progressed to stomping. My door started slamming, Ali's door started slamming, the bathroom door started slamming. Stuff in my room began falling off the wall and breaking. I'm not ashamed to say I was afraid in my room. It felt weird. It felt like I was at home, and not in a good way. It was so frightening and surreal, I was in disbelief. Like, is this honestly happening again? No Ouija boards were used. However, again, both Ali and I were paranormal enthusiasts. I know I'd used Ouija boards in the past, and I'd be 100% sure Ali had at some point in her life. She was aware of my house growing up, and was therefore convinced that something was attached to me and was somehow riled up. And this disturbance was that. In fairness, the bulk of the activity focused in my room and our bathroom. So I made myself comfortable in Ali's room for the remainder of the year. We literally shared a bed every night because we were terrified. I remember convincing our neighbours to stay the night and try to experience what we'd been experiencing. Our neighbours were a group of guys, two of which Ali and I were close with. Let's just say they left believing that something was in our house. One awoke to someone whispering in their ear, "Hi." Both of them heard someone running around. Mind you, we were all in Ali's room for the night. And we all heard my door slamming, crap falling off shelves, and if I remember right, the bathroom taps or toilet would also turn on and flush. What was there? I will never know. But I can tell you right now, it was terrifying. It drove two of the girls out, and it forced me and Ali to share a twin-sized bed. Ali and I feel bonded for life through the experience, and every time we're together, we speak of it. But she still feels strongly I brought it. I don't doubt it whatsoever. Truly, I wouldn't. But I wonder what in the world sparked it. What made a very quiet home turn into chaos? And it just makes me wonder, do I have something attached to me? Not like a possession, but just something that is not good and kind of causes chaos any point in my life it chooses. I've had other experiences that are more tame and seem to have happened the more I opened myself up spiritually, meditation, etc., attempting to lean into the gifts I might have. I currently live at an apartment in Eureka, and I've seen something there a few times. A dark figure. At the previous house we lived in, I saw the same thing, and felt just the most uncomfortable feeling in one of my kids' rooms, and especially didn't like the closet. I've never said this out loud before, but my son was also terrified of his room and his closet, once even claiming that he had seen a dark figure. Well, the mama bear in me was furious. If this thing is attached to me, or even if it's not, it is not going to mess with my children. Mess with me all you want, but not my kids. And I literally said that in their room out loud when no one was home. Hey, you are absolutely not welcome in this house if you are anything negative, or if you scare my children, and you have. Mess with me. Scare me, but stay away from my kids. Well, I moved my kids out of that room and put them in the lower room that I was in, and I took that room. Numerous times I would see something go out of that closet, like a little light. But nothing extraordinary happened. The house was cursed, meaning it had a crap ton of issues constantly, but no other disturbances happened. So I continue on in life. We're now at an apartment. And yes, I see things here and there. Overall, I just wonder, do I attract entities? Do I bring entities? Is something attached to me? I sage and do all the things you're meant to do to keep the house safe as you can, and I'll continue to do so, but also be open. Because if I do have abilities, well, I'm interested. If anything more happens at my family home or to me, I will share. It's been an honour to be featured on my favourite podcast, and I hope you continue to thrive in what you're doing. I can't praise you enough nor thank you enough. Because of you, I feel heard, validated, and finally free of a story I've held on to for far too long. Have a wonderful new year, and please continue doing what you do. Thanks again, Bree. Well, thank you, Bree, for providing us not only with our debut episode for Season 18, but our final Dark Minisode of that same season. And yes, please, of course, keep us updated should, and I'll just touch wood on your behalf that it doesn't, but should anything happen in the future. But in the meantime, thank you, Bree, for your submission. And thank you all for listening to this episode of A Dark Minisode. We'll be back with the Dark Minisodes in Season 19, and until then, I'll speak to you for our finale on Friday. Stay safe and take care.